Hey guys, Fletch the Football Observer here, and today's Fletch Talks video is going to centre around my early predictions for the upcoming 2019-2020 Premier League season. Yes, it's that time of year again where pre-season is slowly coming towards an end and the new season is nearly upon us. And this video though is going to be in 3 parts. This part will be covering my predictions for the Champions League and Europa League positions. The part 2, I think, will be covering the relegation zone. And the final part will be covering who I believe will go on to win this season's Premier League title. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so let me begin by saying that I honestly think that outside of the top 2, everything is wide open this season. Last season's race for the top 4 was one of the most frustrating yet funny things to watch, with seemingly not a single team out of the 4 of them contesting them places, really stamping their authority on them spots. Manchester United, Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea all had multiple opportunities to secure themselves into the top 4 long before it was eventually confirmed, but in the end all sort of just bundled themselves over the finish line. Since then, Arsenal's recruitment that they desperately need hasn't gone how the supporters would have wanted to see. Chelsea have had to deal with a transfer ban, as well as having to say goodbye to arguably their best player in Eden Hazard and saying hello to an old friend and new manager in Frank Lampard. Tottenham managed to finally sign someone following their disappointing Champions League final defeat, the first signing they've had in over a year and a half. And Manchester United have been linked with a lot of names during the summer, but have only made 2 confirmed signings in the forms of winger Daniel James and right back Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The 4 clubs I just mentioned are usually your safe bets to fill up the remainder of the top 6, in some order at least. But this year everything could all be mixed up. Chelsea are going for a rebuilding stage, Arsenal are very inconsistent and are showing very little signs of changing that. Tottenham would probably be the safest of the 4 to retain their top 4 status, but they came very close last year to falling out of the top 4. And as for Manchester United, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and with the money spent and with more signings rumoured to be walking through the door at Old Trafford before the close of the transfer window, they're just as unpredictable as Arsenal despite them things. As for the teams that are looking to at least break into the top 6, and you're looking at the teams that were just on the outside looking in last season, so you're looking at teams like Wolves and Leicester and even Watford, and they are strong contenders to break into them positions this year, you feel. If Wolves could have combated their slight mentality issue last season where they did very well against the quote-unquote bigger teams, but against the teams that were lower in the table they slipped up on multiple occasions, then they could have been further up the table than the still very impressive 7th place finish they managed to achieve last season. The problem this year though is that with everyone strengthening around them, granted they have themselves, but with everyone strengthening around them and the added European football they have to play next season, will that come back to actually hurt them? As for Watford, it would be typical of the Hornets to produce a decent season like the one they had last season and then fall away this year. They had a decent squad full of energy and proved to be a very tough nut to crack at times last season, but will they keep that up for the next campaign? In my opinion, this club could be anywhere but within the top 4 for the next campaign. As for Leicester, well, they have made a couple of decent signings in Ayoze Perez and Yuri Tielemans, and under Brendan Rodgers, they could be dark horses to break into that top 6, and I think their chances are even slightly higher if they can keep their hands on Harry Maguire. But maybe a mid-table finish at most for this club, but I'm not really revealing my true predictions just yet. Other teams to consider for the Champions League or Europa League spots this year include maybe dark horses Bournemouth. If they can stop falling away during key parts of the season, then I believe they may have a chance of just sneaking in there. You've also got West Ham as well. They're another team in with a shout. If they can stop their inconsistency, then they will definitely be within contention. And of course, Everton, with the 3 things certain in life being death, taxes, and Everton fans claiming that they'll be back in the top 6 for the next season. Although to be fair to them this year, they may actually be within a good chance of doing that. As previously stated, I believe that this season will be wide open in terms of these 5 places. I think the Premier League title race is between 2 teams in particular, and I'll get more onto that later when I do that particular video. But for the remaining 5 places that make up the Europa League and Champions League places, it's a lot more difficult to predict, I think. I reckon though Tottenham will be 3rd, just because not a great deal has changed at Spurs in terms of their squad, and they're probably better prepared than the rest of the other teams, so they will probably take 3rd. As for 4th, I say take your pick. There's a lot of teams in contention, and I genuinely have gone back and forth so many times over multiple teams that I've weighed up the list of pros and cons as to why they will get there. But in the end, I think I'm going to say Arsenal, and I say that with not a lot of confidence, but it's my choice that the Gunners will be returning to the top 4 this year. Of course, with Arsenal, the usual Achilles heel is their defending, but they came very close last year to re-entering the top 4 again, and in spite of that Achilles heel, and I think with another season with this squad, Unai Emery can this time make sure he gets the job done. If he keeps hold of Aubameyang, he keeps his world-class strike force intact, of course, and that's only a good thing to an otherwise frustrating summer of transfer activity. But the bottom line here is I believe that Tottenham and Arsenal will make up the remaining Champions League places ahead of the 2 teams that I believe will be challenging for the Premier League title. As for the positions 5th through till 7th, I think Chelsea will reach 5th. I think that with the squad that they already have in place, it's experienced enough not to have a huge drop in the league, and the youth that I'm sure Frank Lampard will introduce to the senior squad will mostly be a welcome addition to the Premier League and will help and gain experience along the way. But ultimately, a lack of star quality in key areas, particularly attack, may cost them Champions League football, at least for the following season. As for 6th, I honestly think Wolves will break into that block of teams. I know it's a risky shout because we've seen a number of teams experience European football, and in doing so they lose ground in their domestic league, but I think Wolves have the squad to maintain progress within the league and also venture into Europe for however long it may last. And as for 7th, I honestly do believe that we will see someone different again, and I think it will be Leicester. I honestly believe that Leicester City under Brendan Rodgers and with the signings they have made have a great chance of making 7th this season. And I know it's a big shout. It's a big shout because A, it's someone different as I mentioned, and B, I haven't even said Manchester United. But honestly, I don't even think Manchester United will not even make the top 7 this year. Just my predictions. And that wraps up this video on my early predictions for the Champions League and Europa League spots for the 2019-2020 season. But of course, guys, as I keep on mentioning, this is just one man's thoughts and one man's opinions on this particular topic. I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you make of the teams that I've mentioned in this video, and who do you think will actually make up them spots? I'd love to read your thoughts and opinions on this subject down below in the comment section. Otherwise, guys, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch the Football Observer. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.